Hey y'all, it's Andy from Ant Panda. So we got another video for you all today. Actually, I'm just doing a quick background type video just to talk about some of the stuff that I really enjoyed growing up as a kid when it comes to gaming, and this is one of them. What we're going to be talking about today is going to be Hover and the origins of Hover that actually was remade that not many people are aware of, and it's quite interesting in concept. So Hover, if you recall, as a little kid that was growing up in the 90s, was a game that was included in the Windows 95 install disk. Sometimes they would have some promotions that would highlight it, but most of the time it wouldn't and just be hidden in the files for the disk of Windows 95. Hover was actually interesting. It was kind of like a poor kid's or poor man's method of being able to play a 3D game at the time. The object of the game, when you played it, had pretty good, interesting music, some sound effects that was great at the time, but it really highlighted and showed the 3D aspect of the capability of your Windows 95 PC. But the concept was simple. You were in a bumper car that had a red paint highlight in it with a map screen, some gizmos and stuff on the left side. At least that's kind of what you collected throughout the map, as well as the direction, speed, and acceleration on the right side with the points at the top right, a rear view mirror, which you can actually uncheck and not have, or have, whatever you preferred. And then on the top left, you actually had the flags that you needed to collect. The object of the game was you were using this bumper car, or this hover car in this case, to go against the computer AI that was blue. And you had to basically pick up all of your flags, which were the blue flags on the level, before the computer. And it was quite interesting because the computer itself, it wasn't super difficult, wasn't too hard, even though you could change that actually in the options. But some maps were real easy and others were really hard, and it was kind of random. But at least for the first three, it would rotate and show you a medieval level that's kind of like a medieval castle with stones on the walls and on the ground with a nice layout in the mountains. You had a futuristic city with a lot of neon lights, and then you also had a sewer level, which was pretty small inclined, but had it looked like green sewage everywhere. And I, as a kid, loved this game because when I grew up, we got a Windows 95 machine, and we didn't get all the latest and greatest games. It was actually a little expensive back then. So this, as a child, when I first saw this, was just incredible. And still to this day, believe it or not, I like to pick it up and sometimes play it on my PC, which you can still do today, even with new Windows hardware. However, it's pretty small as far as the resolution, which I believe is only 640 by 480. But Hover in itself, you could play that pretty much unlimited. There are very many levels. I think there were a little over a few hundred, and they were all just different variations of those three textures of the medieval castle, futuristic city, and the sewer. What was interesting, though, was, and I never knew this because I'm not entirely sure why, but Hover actually was re-released and remade in 2013. It was a browser game that was used to support and actually promote Internet Explorer, specifically Internet Explorer 11. But it was created by a developer named Dan Church with the help of Pixel Labs and Microsoft in order to showcase the WebGL support that Internet Explorer 11 had. And what was interesting was this was pretty great set of graphics. You actually have the ability to select three different cars. You had the Chicago, you had the Wizard, and you also had Bambi, which was your typical red original car that you could select, with different statistics and everything. But it basically highlighted the Internet Explorer capabilities of that and showcased it. And surprisingly enough, if you got a chance to actually play it on the Internet Explorer site, you did have the ability to actually play multiplayer against other players instead of just a single player AI, which was interesting. Unfortunately, in of itself, It was shut down around April of 2019, and there was a version of it available for the 8.1 Windows app, but unfortunately this no longer exists. Surprisingly enough, though, there is a way to actually play that, and I'm going to actually play through its entirety to showcase it to you, because it's very interesting, because it has a very different aesthetic, but it's much newer. Obviously, it's got kind of those 3 different levels that we were discussing. It does have the orbs with the power-ups that you can get. And by the way, the power-ups are usually jump, brick wall, or invincibility, which invincibility didn't really do much. A brick wall allowed you so you can actually put a brick wall behind you, and then the jump button, which actually was pretty important for some parts because you had to get to certain parts of the map that there wasn't an actual ramp to. And this allowed you to do that. And even sometimes they had platforms that were across other platforms that you could not get to. So the jump capability allowed you to do that. I just wanted to showcase how wonderful of a game this is. And it sucks because, you know, the charm and kind of the nice thing that it provided me, many hours of entertainment for me as a kid, just to kind of see it go on the wayside. I wish somebody could create Hover and actually make it into a kind of a full-fledged game with some lore and whatnot. But until then, this is the 2 things that we've got available. I'll include links of where you can actually reference this and find it. Believe it or not, Wikipedia actually has this information included. And you can technically play the remake. There's some folks that actually still follow Hover pretty closely and actually have versions of this that you can actually install on your computer. In addition, you can also include it. You can also go into the Wayback Machine and actually play it on Internet Explorer. But the crazy thing is, well, on Google, not Internet Explorer, because unless you have Microsoft Edge, maybe. The interesting thing is that it doesn't actually have any sound on the Wayback Machine. So anyway, I'll include all the video kind of the game itself, of the original 1 or 2 levels. Or actually, I'll showcase each level, and then I'll showcase the remake that pops up, interestingly enough, at the end of this, so you can take a look. But anyway, if you're interested in this, if you've played Hover, if you've enjoyed it, go ahead and give this video a like. Go ahead and get a nice little free subscribe if you like this content. But this is just some pieces of content I love to put together. It's not really for... I mean, it's for y'all's enjoyment if you enjoy this sort of stuff, but it's really just for me because I just love this little piece of gaming history that I feel like is a little bit on the wayside, and I want to make sure that it gets its just spotlight, you know, and people get to see it and find it and be able to relive it again. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.
What?